The four horsemen have been interpreted in many different ways, one being as a prophecy of the Great Tribulation. A series of judgments from God that caused many on earth to die. The horsemen were the first of many judgments. The first seal being broken, signifying the arrival of the Antichrist. The second was global war. The third, economic collapse. And the last was the death of a quarter of the world's population. The book of Zechariah takes a different approach to the four horsemen. Here they are known as four spirits, who descend from heaven on chariots, each one with a different colored horse. Unlike in Revelation. Let's explore more about these horsemen. As time is close, this could happen sooner than we thought. The four horsemen originates from Christian Bible. They appear in three main books. In the Old Testament, the writers can be found in the book of Zechariah or the book of Ezekiel. In the New Testament, John of Patmos taught them. In the book of Revelation, chapter 6 of Revelation talks about a scroll in the right hand of God, which has been sealed shut by 7 individual seals. When the Lamb of God opens the first 4 of these 7 seals, he shall summon forth 4 beings that rid on white, red, black, and pale horses. Out of these 4 riders only death is named in the Bible. The rest are named after what they represent. The Lamb of God, for those unfamiliar, is a title given to Jesus Christ, which leads us to believe if Jesus is opening the seals and unleashing the apocalypse upon humanity, then maybe it was ordained by God himself, maybe it is a future or punishment that humanity brought upon itself. The first horseman to appear is the rider in white, the horse of conquest. Then I saw when the Lamb broke one of the 7 seals, and I heard one of the 4 living creatures saying, as with a voice of thunder, "Come." I looked, and behold, a white horse. And he who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer. In the mid-19th century there were those who claimed this horseman represented something closer to the Antichrist, and was not to be seen as a positive figure. When he broke the second seal, I heard the second living creature saying, "Come." And another, a red horse, went out, and to him who sat on it, it was granted to take peace from earth, and that men would slay one another, and a great sword was given to him. Everything about the second horseman is fairly straightforward. He rides on a fiery red horse with his great sword held upwards, as a declaration of war, and upwards face in sword would often signify the intention to enter battle. And the color red we can assume symbolizes the bloodshed that comes with war. When he broke the third seal, I heard the third living creature saying, "Come." I looked, behold, a black horse, and he who sat on it had a pair of scales in his hand, and I heard something like a voice in the center of the 4 living creatures saying, "A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, but do not damage the oil and wine." Some believe the scales the horseman holds can be interpreted as the scales of justice. Others believe the scales actually reflect how bread used to be weighed in times of famine. The mention of barley and wheat in the above passage is why the letter interpretation is used more commonly. The prices mentioned may not make much sense, but it roughly translates to an entire day's work just to buy some of the ingredients needed to make bread, so you can see how that may have caused the famine. In a literal sense, as a plague of locusts could easily ravage crops, but grapevines and olive branches are a bit more resolute. If the horseman is bringing this famine as a punishment, then going after necessities. The fourth and final horseman is the pale rider. Many scholars describe a sickly appearance as opposed to a specific color like the other horsemen in later artistic interpretations. The color is what we would associate with the horseman of death. When the Lamb broke the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th living creature saying, "Come." I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and he who sat on its head, the name Death, and Hades was follow with him. Authority was given to them over 1/4 of the earth, to kill with sword, and with famine, and with pestilence, and by the wild beasts of the earth. The fourth horseman is the only one to be mentioned by name. He's also referred to as Thanatos, a Greek deity or spirit associated with non-violent death. Death is also described as being followed by Hades, which in this sense may not necessarily mean the god himself. The rest in place of the dead. Authority was given to them over fourth of the earth, to kill with sword, and with famine, and with pestilence, and by the wild beasts of the earth. This can be interpreted as death being given authority to kill and Hades to take the souls. But the fact it mentions by sword, famine, and pestilence, you would imagine this passage refers to all four horsemen. After years of carnage, famine, oppression, and failures. This is all interconnected, and when time comes, we all will know. Please add your comments. You know how much I love to read your comments and reply them. Thank you for watching.